Yeah, sorry about the gameplays, guys. It's the best I could get in short notice because I don't feel like playing more than 3 games to get a gameplay. But that's just me. But today we're going to do the history of the American Warhorse, a rifle that every modern assault rifle is idolized to be in the modern time. The fact that every rifle up to the date on the market today has its origins rooted in the design of the M16, be it the French FAMAS or the Israeli Tavor 21, or the sleek Magpul adaptive combat rifle. All of them hold story to the M16, but the M16 is not a story that I can tell without giving the backstory. And so let's start with that, the backstory of the M16. The American motto for the military up until 1950 was one shot, one kill, and they didn't want to put weapons in the hands of grunts that didn't go up to this quota. This worked well until the 50s, until a little foreign war happened in Korea, or a little forgotten war to be exact. The Red Chinese Army would come in masses to help the North Koreans and lost nearly 1 million men in battle. The problem the U.S. had wasn't the strong 30 caliber round that the M1 used, nor was it the pistol cartridge that the M1 carbine used. The fact that it didn't put out enough firepower was the main problem. A skilled marksman could put up to 50 rounds out a minute downrange, and when you have 40,000 men charging up to you, with some weapons, or some with weapons, some without weapons, because the Chinese didn't really give everybody in their artillery weapons at all. How do you deal with that? Well, you could go the machine gun route, but not everybody was skilled as a machine gunner, and machine guns were heavy and bulky, and you only have two or three a company generally. It's true that the 30 caliber bullet can reach out to 1,000 yards effectively, but even at 250 yards, the bullet to kill ratio drops significantly even with skilled marksmen. The Army, not wanting to lose their motto, made a compromise. They redesigned the M1 to hold a 20-round magazine and used the machine gun application and made it fully automatic. The problem with this is the 30 caliber round was too much force and would cause the barrel to rise on the first shot. It would cause the barrel to rise, just kick up. The first shot was true. The second, third, fourth, fifth, 18th shot was shooting at airplanes basically. They went away to design this to get more guns on the. They basically went away with this design anyway to get more guns with less reloading on the front lines and try to save lives. So, because the Garand only had an 8-round magazine, where the M14 had a 20. The M14 was become the gun of choice for military until a 4-star general named William Wyman went to Eugene Stoner of Armalite and asked if he could produce a stronger version of the AR-10, a gun the military declined due to its Bakelite barrel and malfunctions. What a Bakelite barrel is like it's a plastic. It's very, very brittle, and the original AR-10 shot 7.62 by 51, just like the M14. And the gases and the combustion happening inside the barrel was enough to crack the front mass of the AR-10, and a bullet came out the side of it. This caused them to scrap the AR-10 right then and there. And basically they got turned down. It wasn't until basically they took all that and it created the malfunction and produced the AR-15, which was made mainly of fiberglass and aluminum, and dropped the whole aeronautics thing. Aeronautics. It also had a new kind of bullet that they redesigned for it. The 30 caliber bullet was too much compression for a gun of its size and weight, so they knocked it down to a 22 caliber round, opposed to the 30 caliber that the M14 shot. The load was also lessened to make it considerably lighter. They put less gunpowder in it. A 17-pound load was the standard at the time for the military to carry in a battle, which would equal a M14 and about 100 rounds of 30 caliber ammunition, whereas the AR-15 with itself weighed around 6 pounds, and it could carry 280 rounds of ammunition for the same 17-pound payload that you could put in a grunt's hands. So you can say he carried a lot more firepower on the battle with him. But it wasn't until 1958 that the AR-15 actually got a test run where it did real well across the board. The fact remains, a lot of people didn't like the smaller caliber rifle, and a lot of people were up against it. They wanted the 30 caliber round. They went so far to say that you are doing a distrust to the country and writing death threats to Eugene Stoner, saying putting a lesser round in a military man's hand, because it was basically costing them their life, which was a pretty big leap to do anyway. So what ended up happening is M16 failed one test, and that was the Arctic test. And the more looking into it, after the fact, the person who ran the Arctic test had all the what they call taper pins. Well, there's basically a pin that goes in the front side of your AR-15, and it holds the sight on. He took that out and replaced it with a welding rod. Welding rods aren't designed to hold gun sights on, and basically made the gun sights misaligned and make sure the gun failed the test. The test went on to fail, like I said, in Arctic conditions, and the Army went with the M14 rifle, which most people thought at this point that was just to feed Springfield Armory, because Springfield Armory basically produced the M1 Garand, they produced the M1 carbine, they produced the M14 for the military, and they had to keep people working. It wasn't until 1960 when the AR-15 was brung back out, because what happened was Armor Light was bought out by Colt Arms, which is Samuel Colt's gun company. You know, Samuel Colt's the guy who designed the 6-shooter, the gun that won the West. And he bought an Armor Light and he manufactured the AR-15 as a sporting gun. And what happened is they had a gun, you know, public picnic, and they invited some of the generals and stuff to it. And in the summer of 1960, General Curtis LeMay, I fucking forgot his name, was given to a demonstration on the 4th of July, and the AR-15 was part of them. He ended up ordering 80,000 of them for the U.S. Army on the spot. There was a lengthy process about the whiz kids in the Kennedy era, but all in all, the M16A1 was given to the troops in the Vietnam War, which happened in 1963. The weapon didn't become a main gun. It didn't become the main weapon issued until 1969, toward the end of Vietnam War, and M14 carried around in there. The main problem was that came with this, though, is they changed the gunpowder from match powder to ball powder, well, stick powder to ball powder. And what this caused is the gun was designed for stick powder, and stick powder burned cleaner. It caused less projection, didn't have as much thrust, and it held the gun's integrity better. Thus, it didn't need cleaning because the gun would self-clean itself, because the carbon residue left behind by the cordite would be burned off by the stick powder. Well, the Army went ahead and changed all the cartridges to ball powder. Thus, they caused a lot of calcium buildup, and they didn't even issue cleaning kits to the people in Vietnam in the very first tours or years of the actual campaign of Rolling Thunder. But the reason they switched to ball powder is to get more oomph out of them, because ball powder has a lot more thrust behind it than stick powder. Well, another problem that the M16 had in Vietnam was it came with a 25-round magazine. Well, the magazine was third-party produced, and the spring of the magazine wasn't up to par. So if you kept maxing out all 25 rounds in your magazine, what would end up happening is the spring would fail on you and not work. So you'd have a 25-round magazine that after you shot the first round, it would never spring the other ones up because the spring would have been maxed out. So in the end, they only could put 16 rounds in their magazine in the Vietnam War. So they had a fully automatic 16-round magazine gun. So I guess that goes to that. And the troops hated it. The troops hated the M16 for the first 3 or 4 years. They even went so far as they wrote letters to the Congress saying how their friends were dying on the front lines with the M16s jammed in the hands. Basically, it's all compacted to create the M16A2. The A2 basically had one problem with it that stuck out from everything else, is it had a release mechanism that would go off when it was bumped considerably. Like if a guy was jumping to prone, the magazine would fall out of the gun, and you'd only be left with one bullet. You had to put it back in. This led to another problem, which led to the A3. And then what happened with the A3 is they started doing stuff like the M4 and things of that nature, and they wanted to make the M16 more adaptable. So they shortened the barrel on it, and they gave it a Picatinny rail, and they started being able to put optics on it. And they basically started with a 3-round burst. The 3-round burst started in the A2. The A1 was semi-automatic, safe, and fully automatic. The A2 had single fire, 3-round burst, they had safety, single fire, 3-round burst, and fully automatic. Well, and with all that said, other than that, the M16 worked well, and the 20 caliber bullet caused later down the road, they figured out why the 20 caliber bullet was caused so much damage. What it would do is a hydroshock, and when it hit the body, it would split apart and shrapnel inside of it, making it more effective at killing. But M16 still has competition even today, though it stood almost 50 years at this point. Guns that they've tried to replace it with, such as the XM8. They've also, and currently the gun that looking like to replace it will be the Barrett Rex 7, shooting the 6.8 caliber Grendel round. The reason they're trying to replace the M16 at this point in juncture is, one, they're having a lot of trouble with Iraq putting people down. The M16 has a very high lethality, but it also doesn't have any stopping power. What stopping power is, or signifies, is the ability to knock a target off its feet. I mean, no bullet's in the world is gonna be able to just straight up just pick you up and put you on your back. But when you've got a stopping power bullet such as the ACP-45 or the 50 caliber round, or like the AK-47 bullet, the 7.62 by 39 millimeter, what those bullets do is they hit you hard enough that they make you weak, so you fall. The M16 doesn't do that. It feels like a hot knife stabbing you, or most people have said. And when you got these zealot warriors that scream Allah running into battle, a couple M16 rounds ain't putting them down, and they're still able to fight. They want a weapon that'll hit the guy so hard that he doesn't want to fight no more, and that's why they're trying to go for the bigger 6.8 caliber round. That's pretty much the history of the M16. And still today is probably the most prized and most cherished weapon, and it's basically led America to win many wars since then. And as it stands, just like the Abrams tank is the best weapon on the battlefield you can have in your hands. Things such as the M4 carbine has replaced the grease gun and all the Tommy gun and all those submachine guns completely. The reason they're replacing submachine guns in the military is mainly because once you get it out of a door-to-door environment, you have a 30-round pistol. That's what it is, shooting pistol cartridges. And they want a gun that can easily move corners with and shoot inside a house. And say you go into a big warehouse, you can still get in a firefight and be successful. And that's how it all works. How has it worked in game? Well, the way this M16 works in game on Modern Warfare 2 is it's a 3-round burst. It's the second 3-round burst weapon that you get. What happens is it has a slower burst in between the 3 shots than the FAMAS, the other 3-round burst weapons. Thus, meaning it gets more play, and you have to hit the guy harder. Well, not harder, but you got to hit the guy more than the FAMAS to kill him. What the M16 has over the FAMAS, it reloads faster. It's a faster reload than the FAMAS, so you basically take accuracy over reload speed, and whatever your preference is. Or you can go French versus American. Same difference. The M16 is most notable that it's more accurate with the holographic sight. As you see here, I use one with the holographic, and the second game I use with the red dot and the silencer. It's all personal preference, so the red dot's very good close to medium range, just as the holographic is. It gets a little worse off once you go range, as you'll see here, as you see toward the end of the derailed game, of how the range works on the red dot sight. But that's Rifleman's Creed M16, the American workhorse. It's been your boy Wings of Redemption, and I'm out.